help us understand why shootings like this morning happen, I do want to bring in marriage and family therapist Dr. Viviana Coles. Dr. Coles, what is it in someone that makes them do something like this?
The truth is, with all the research going on, and unfortunately with all the opportunities to study these people, we still don't know as experts what is really the causation behind all of this. But there are some signs and some patterns that we've noticed, such as victims of bullying. Very often, these shooters are male victims of bullying, and it can be something that starts as, in their childhood or as adults, whether it's in the workplace or at school, but they're typically feeling that they're bullied.
Now, with a lot of these mass shootings, we have seen exactly that. Yeah. It's a troubled teenager. We saw it in Columbine with Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, those shooters. And in this scenario, in this case, this was a Houston lawyer, someone who drove a Porsche, wore a suit to work, didn't look like the stereotypical
I was going to say, on the outside, to a lot
teen.
of folks, might have looked completely normal and okay.
Exactly. So what are some of the signs we should be looking for?
Well, and that's something that a marriage and family therapist, we're used to knowing what's really going on inside of people because they tend to share that with us in session. And they have a different facade and a different mask that they put on outside in order to get through their day. Some of the signs, I would say, is that most of the times they do mention something about this plan. It's not typically something that happens split-second decision. It is something that they've often planned, whether it's 48 hours before or months before.
Wait a minute, so they would just drop like a casual threat and say like, oh, I'm going to go shoot up the...
It's not so much a threat. It could be casual like that. It could be something that they share with people online on a forum. They might talk to colleagues about it, either in jest or, like you said, kind of just casually, oh, well, one of these days. And you got to listen for that. Definitely listen for that. The other thing about these people is that we've noticed that there's a sense of feeling like you're either the victim or the victimizer in life. And that's the worldview. So you're going to be one or the other. If you've been a victim, I'm sure as heck not going to do that again. I will be the victimizer. And so they do see every day as kind of, you're going to pick one or the other. I'm going to be the victimizer.
You were talking about the bullying, and it sounds like you're also talking about something that starts much younger in life. So as a parent, what is something that a parent can look for if they're seeing some changes or something going on with their child?
Change in mood, low scores.
How do you not just chalk it up, though, to being just, it's just a teenager?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. And that's why, with the training that I have, I take it all very seriously. And as parents, you have to trust your gut, but then also get yourself more aware. What are some of the things that you've noticed in your child? All of a sudden, are they really excited about weaponry? And it's not something that's just a video game. They want to go to gun shows. Those things are things that should spark your interest as a concerned parent.
Let me ask you, Dr. Coles, it seems like with a lot of these shooters, and clearly we don't know much about them until after the fact, but many times there's some sort of mental illness involved. What leads someone to do something like pull out a gun and open fire on a bunch of random folks? Is it an undiagnosed mental condition like schizophrenia, or can someone snap and respond this way simply because they are under a ton of stress?
Derek, it's all of the above. You just don't know. And that's what makes things so scary about these things, is that we just don't know. And we can only do so much to try to prevent being a victim of this sort of thing, because we don't know. Yes, there can be mental disorders that are associated with this sort of risky behavior and aggressive behavior, but not always. We just don't know.
Wow. Now,
so if
lastly,
you notice, I was going to say, if you notice any kind of change in anybody that's close to you, what do you do first? You have a talk with them and say, hey, maybe you should think about getting some professional help?
I think for sure always offering that as an option. But just asking questions, getting curious. Hey, I've noticed that you've been really into these sorts of magazines and that you've been wanting to look at these sort of things online. Tell me what's going on. What's interesting to you about it? Because it could be something that's just interesting. But if it's coupled with mood changes, not so much interest in old hobbies that were maybe healthier, like sports, and maybe changing friendships, spending a lot more time online, you want to check into that sort of thing. Kind of as a package, you want to look at everything.
All right. Well, Dr. Viviana Coles, thank you so much. And